Sometimes I pick the topics on these live stream podcasts because I like what the headline could be. Like I'll save and bookmark some stories I want to talk about the previous night or the previous day. And this one, I wish it fit in the title, but it's too many words. But I was going to call this Lobster Tales and Tall Tales, how the Democrats plan to go after Pete Hegseth failed miserably. But that's too many words. But you get the gist of it. And this used to be, and I'm sure you saw the story about this, they're trying to say Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War, blew millions, some are saying billions of dollars on lobster tail and steak. Actually implying, believe it or not, like he used this for his own purposes. Well, this is the kind of story that used to upset me. Like not too long ago either. But things have changed. Because very, very quickly, this blew up right in their faces because it's so over the top and it's so preposterous. And they're using the same keywords, very similar to what I was talking about with you guys yesterday. And I heard from you in a lot of the comments. You're starting to pick up on this too. You look for certain things when there's a hoax or propaganda or just flat out crap in the media. You look for the usual liars, the usual suspects they bring out, and they use the same keywords. And we got all of it in this one. So this one blew up. So this is actually fun to talk about with this one. We'll get into it. And CNN had to apologize. Here's another thing that changed. This wouldn't have happened a few years ago. CNN had to make an on-air apology last night about the flat-out lie that they pushed on the New York City attempted pipe bomb. Did anyone hear the apology, though? This is another media trick. This is another media game. Nobody ever reads the retraction or hears the apology because then the mission's already accomplished. You know what I mean? Like they've already gotten the word out there. Abby Phillips on CNN last night apologized for what she said the previous night. But the mission was already accomplished. She said to people, their viewers, whatever they have left, that this was an attempt on New York City Mayor Mamdani's life. And it wasn't. Anyway, the reason why they apologize, let's take it for the good news for what it is because everybody is aware of what's happening now. Anyway, let's get to it. Thanks for finding me. I appreciate you so much. The Wicked Radio live stream, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, Monday through Friday on X and YouTube and on Facebook. And the audio podcast download as soon as we get off here. Now, fingers crossed. As long as my internet connection stays with me, I am at a hotel somewhere in the great state of Georgia. On the road. Should be good. But speaking of on the road, so I'm driving along. We take a couple of rest stops, from Florida. And I'm getting these headlines about lobster tails. And so, sometimes you get like something comes across your news feed and you're like, what is this? What the hell is going on? The first people I saw talking about it weren't, conservative commenters. They weren't like legitimate news sources. They were the usual suspects, like I was calling them yesterday. People like, and I hate to do this to you early in the morning, but still, Adam Schiff. Whenever they bring Adam Schiff out. Remember yesterday I was talking about like the designated liars? Adam Schiff, he's one of them. And then they went to late night TV hosts. And then you had people on CNN talking about it. And this roundtable last night on CNN, Paul Begala was one of the guys. You want to talk about one of the OGs, one of the original designated liars that they bring out. I'm not lying to you guys. I thought this guy was dead. I haven't heard his name in years. But they dig him out. They dust him off. They put him on a CNN panel to talk about Pete Hegseth. And listen for the key word again. This is key. Blew through millions of dollars on lobster tail and steak. Now you're thinking the same thing that anybody with a half an ounce of common sense is thinking. Well, he's the Secretary of War, and this is for the troops. We have a massive military engagement system here. I'm sure this was for them. And I was thinking at the same time too, probably another thing you were thinking, and you probably know this firsthand if you served, or if, and thank you for your service, you deployed. And I didn't. I'm not a military veteran, but I have a lot of friends who were. And I was thinking about this story, and I'm going, well, anybody I knew that served, and especially I have a couple of friends that were deployed in the first Iraq War, and I remember them telling me specifically, whenever they went, they knew they were going into action, or at least getting deployed, because all of a sudden the food got better. Did you think about that too when they started this hoax? That's the first thing I thought of. But there they were, jumping on CNN, again, bringing out some of the original designated liars. Listen to this.
He has spent $15 million in 1 month for ribeye steak, $6.9 million for lobster tail, $225 million for furniture. He spent more in the month of September than most countries on earth spend in their defense.
Paul, do you believe
all for himself? Lobster tails?
Do you believe
while our troops are eating MREs?
No.
Lobster tails?
Do you believe the Secretary of Defense is personal?
Did you hear what he said? I hope you heard or saw what he said there. I'm not going to play it again, but that's Paul Begala, one of the original, one of the OG designated liars that they pull out, they dust off, and they put on CNN. Thank God Scott Jennings is there to correct him, because Paul Begala, Democrat activist, advisor, you know, one of the original swamp monsters, he actually said there, you heard it right, and you saw it right. He said Pete Hegseth, Secretary of War, spent this money on lobster tail and steak for himself. He said that. Those are his words. Will he apologize? No. He's going to go back to whatever cave they hide him in until they need the next designated liar to come out and do it. So that's the first bit of nonsense, right? So that was the first, but right away when they tried this hoax, right away, it was starting to get shot down by people like Scott Jennings last night on CNN. But then, and again, I hate to do this to you, but one of the elected designated liars, Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff, Pinhead, is doing a video in the halls of Congress yesterday, pushing the same lie. Now listen to the keyword, blue. Blew millions on lobster. You know, not only this, but the video he did, he attached Stephen Colbert, late night designated liar, propagandist in all this. Listen to the keywords and listen to it. It's all coordinated and it's all nonsense. But again, remember the good news. We saw through it right away.
So how much did you spend last year on fruit basket stands? Well, the Pentagon spent $12,000. That's a lot of fruit basket stands. But that's not all. They wasted a whole lot more money than that. Take a look.
So far, this war has cost over $6 billion, but burning through cash is nothing new for Secretary of War Pete Hegseth, because a government watchdog discovered that he blew billions on things like $5.3 million for new iPads, $60,000 for Herman Miller recliners, and $12,000 for fruit basket stands. Wait, you're ordering what? That's what I think. What? So anyway, $12,000 for fruit, okay. Wait, you're ordering fruit? This is my emotional state, right? Okay. You're ordering fruit baskets so fancy they come with a stand? Come on, Pete.
Wow. The very rare Adam Schiff, Shifty Schiff video attached to a thread with Stephen Colbert's monologue, all pushing the same propaganda lie. Did you hear the key word there from both of them? Pete Hegseth blew. He blew through this. Again, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. Blue, so to speak. Whenever you hear the same designated liars and they're using the same coordinated words, it should be a red flag in your head. Propaganda. Now, none of these idiots, well, they know it, but they're trying to push a different story. So they're trying to say, obviously, like Paul Begala and others, he wasn't the only one saying he spent this for himself. For himself. No, it couldn't be, you morons, that he's in charge of all of our military members, all of our service members, and he's getting all of these goods. Let's just focus on the steak and lobster tail. For military members that, just engaged in the most, history will show, successful, efficient, ahead of time, under budget, devastating to the bad guys military campaign in war history. Because that's what's going on right now. Everybody to a man, even some Democrats have had to admit that this is an efficient military campaign against Iran. Nobody wants to go to war, but you have to take out the bad guys and they can't have nuclear weapons. And it's way ahead of schedule. It couldn't be that they're trying to do something nice for our military members, right? Fruit baskets? Oh, maybe that's a nice thing. Steak and lobster, feeding them well? Yeah, that's nice. New iPads? Oh, I don't know. You think military members, you think our great veterans too might need some better technology? Chairs? And they're trying to wrap this and they're trying to sell this, that this is Pete Hegseth spending for himself. And the sad thing is, not you, not you, but there are millions of people who believe this crap. Somewhere at work, you'll find some idiot or some family get-together, some TDS-infected moron will say, that Pete Hegseth spent billions of dollars on steak for himself. I mean, listen, they're out there. There are people that stupid out there. But less and less people are buying this crap, which is great. Because immediately when this happened, all of a sudden, within minutes, we saw the real story. Again, remember what you probably know from veterans in your life. Maybe you, if you're ever deployed, if you're ever going on a serious mission. The food's getting better. Steak and lobster, I think we're getting deployed. Here's a perfect video. Now, this happened to be from TikTok, but a ton of these happen to come out from military members on their social media account.
Brothers Defect has steak and lobster.
How's this steak and lobster?
All right, damn near decent. How's yours? I'm ready for war. We're going to war. I might have to double it.
God forbid. Oh, God forbid that our military members who, did you hear the 10-second mark? 2 of them. They said, we're going to war. That's how they know. Anybody that I've known that served in the military has said the same thing. All of a sudden, the food gets better. And I don't know how much better, by the way. Let's not exaggerate this too much. They're still in little styrofoam boxes. But when the food gets better, something's happening. But God forbid that our military members should get better food. God forbid we should do something that people who are literally putting their lives on the line for our country, for our safety, and for the safety of pinheads like Adam Schiff and Stephen Colbert and Paul Bagel and all these other idiots who tried to push this lobster tail hoax yesterday. God forbid they should have something nice in their lives. These elitist idiots that could not possibly care any less, because their mission, their marching orders is to get on TV and to start selling this lie. You idiots. Well, the good news is for all of us, that blew up right in their faces, because you know how to look through it now. What many people do. You look for the designated liars and the keywords they use every single time. It's actually a great thing. It's excellent. And you know what? If you want to do something nice and spend some money for our military members, you go right ahead. They deserve everything we can give them. Good for them. And remember, if you ever see that video again, look for the 10-second mark. Those 2 guys sitting at the table. I think it was an army installment. They said, "Oh, we're going to war." They knew. Well, here's another designated liar. Abby Phillips from CNN. We were talking about this a lot yesterday. Remember her clip where she actually said it with a straight face too. An attempted bomb attack on New York City Mayor Mamdani's life. Well, that was a lie. Well, they had to push a written apology on CNN's website and their X account yesterday. But then she had to go on the air because people demanded that she had to go on the air live last night and issue a real apology. I have 2 questions for you. First, did anybody hear it? More on that in a second. And the second thing is, does CNN, through her, issue an apology if we didn't have something like X? Even CBS is a little bit. If we didn't have a little bit more real news out there now, did they ever get to this point where they apologize? Because they never used to. This was her last night. Believe me, she didn't want to do this.
But first, this morning I issued a correction first thing in the morning on X for a mistake that I made in last night's show, but I also wanted to do so on air as well. I incorrectly said that the bombs that were thrown by ISIS-inspired suspects in New York over the weekend were directed at Mayor Mamdani. They were not. I failed to catch and correct that mistake in real time, and I take full responsibility for that. And while we do make mistakes, it is important to acknowledge and correct those errors when they happen.
I made a mistake. I failed to catch that. Ready? So to go on with a scripted teleprompter in front of you, and to go on with that, you have to write it. Well, you have to think about it, or get a phone call from marching orders from God knows who. Either way, you have to think about it, write it down, get it into the teleprompter, get it to an editor. They have to pass it. They have to put it back in, give the green light stamp of approval from somebody up in the newsroom. She has to go on air and she has to say it. But I didn't catch that. Right. Here's the most relevant question. Did anybody see the apology? Nobody ever sees or reads a written apology in the media. Nobody ever sees a spoken one, because the damage was already done. If you think for a second that this was a mistake, yeah, you got a lot of learning to do. But you're almost there, because this was not a mistake. The mission was already done. She said it. More people are walking around today saying, "Did you hear that they tried to throw a pipe bomb? It must have been those white supremacists throwing pipe bombs at Mayor Mamdani," because of the nonsense that she pushed, and others. She wasn't the only one. That's how they do it. Mission accomplished. Apology doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like a retraction. They always bear it like the old newspaper days. They would get a story wrong or intentionally get it wrong and lie about it, and then they would bury a retraction somewhere deep in the old newspaper, whatever it was. Same thing here. It hasn't changed. That's not a real apology. And believe me, I regret that. She doesn't regret that. She was taking marching orders from somebody else to twist this story into something it was not, because it doesn't fit their narrative. But again, what's the takeaway? Take it for the good news, for what it is. We're getting to them. Do they issue that apology? Even get to that point? Unless people were onto them and people can see through the fake news now. I don't think so. So I think it is good news. Let's take it for that. But how many people are going to go out to lunch or dinner tonight and have lobster tails? Just because it's so top of mind. One of the greatest diffusion cases of a Democrat hoax I've ever seen in record time, and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. Spending billions on himself. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. I'm out of material, but I'm also pushing my luck for my shaky internet connection today on the road. So I will be back with you tomorrow talking about the same thing. Hopefully some lighter stories we can laugh about. In the meantime, thanks so much for hanging out with me. Also, the audio podcast, wherever you like to get those. I post that right after the live stream. And the replay on X and YouTube and on Facebook. And with all that said, enjoy your lobster tails and steak tonight, everybody. I'll talk to you later.